The Obama administration is under fire after revelations of dozens of military veterans dying while awaiting care at a single VA facility due to delays that are common throughout the system. Is this just a practical process issue, or does it have political ramifications? I'm PJTV's Scott Ott, joined now by Stephen Green and Bill Whittle. And this week on Trifecta, a three-part series called Hurting Heroes on Hold. Men, the VA has been criticized for corruption, waste, and incompetence since it was created in 1930 to replace the old Veterans Bureau, which was shut down because of corruption, waste, and incompetence. Now we learn that some VA locations may have actually falsified waiting lists to cover their miserable performance, as some veterans literally die, even committing suicide while awaiting care. The federal government spends more than $40 billion per year caring for the medical needs of more than 5 million veterans. Republicans have raised a ruckus over recent revelations of corruption, waste, and incompetence at the VA, seeking to pin the blame on President Obama and his VA chief, Eric Shinseki. In fact, a prominent senator actually said, "When a veteran is denied health care, we are all dishonored. When 400,000 veterans are stuck on a waiting list for claims, we need a new sense of urgency in this country. We need a change in Washington." That patriotic senator was Barack Obama in a presidential campaign news release on October 5, 2007. Back then, Senator Obama promised that, quote, "As president, I won't stand for hundreds of thousands of veterans waiting for benefits. We'll hire additional claims workers. We'll bring together veterans groups and the VA to work out a claims process that's fair and fast." Well, now President Obama says he learned of the VA scandal on the news, despite a White House briefing on the topic as early as 2008. Stephen Green, when General Omar Bradley ran the VA, the budget ballooned 10 times, and he still couldn't stop the complaints about care from the American Legion and others. So why don't the Republicans just shut up and recognize that it's a tough job to run the VA, and President Obama's team is doing the best they, or maybe anybody, can?
That's sad if that's true. And I don't want to get into the partisan he said, she said, Republicans versus Democrats or any of that. But I'm glad you brought up General Bradley. I just finished rereading his memoirs for the second or third time. I don't know, maybe it was over summer vacation last year. And the kind of general this man was. By VE Day, Victory in Europe Day, he commanded his 12th Army Group 1.3 million men. This is a huge organization. It's about half the size of the entire federal government is today, I think. You know, from D-Day, he chased the Germans across France. One of his jobs was to keep Patton reined in. That's a full-time job right there. He captured 300,000 Germans in the Ruhr pocket after he was successfully able to capture a bridge on the Rhine. Most importantly, though, he was loved by his troops. He was known as the GI's general. They loved him because he loved them. You can tell, you know, soldiers generally have very finely tuned BS detectors. I almost said the actual word. Very finely tuned BS detectors, because you have to, especially during wartime. And these guys, these men absolutely loved him. He came back, and even he, with all of this experience commanding the Army's huge bureaucracy, couldn't get the VA to function. What does that teach us? I think there's a broader lesson in there, but I know you want to save that for the third segment, so I'll do that for you, buddy.
Well, Bill Whittle, don't Republican critics run the risk of a backlash when they try to politicize the suffering of our nation's veterans? And if that's so, what can or should they say?
Well, this is the argument always, isn't it? You can't criticize Obama because there'll be a backlash. You'll look like a bunch of negative naysayers running around with your hair on fire. And I do think the problem with the Republicans in general is that they just keep playing by their rules. So let me go to what Steve was saying about having a finely tuned BS detector. I've studied this president's history since he's been in office and for the years prior to him being in office. So I'm just going to cut to the chase and tell you what I really think. I don't think this man likes the military. I think he despises the military. I think he always has. I think if you take the Veterans Administration topic off the table for a minute, you will see by talking to especially the mid-level field grade officers in the Army, and especially the Army, you'll find there are policies coming from this president that are forcing them out of the military in unprecedented numbers. The policies that he's putting on the armed forces in general are reducing our strength and forcing our best people out of the military because of the superimposition of his values onto the most highly respected organization in American society today. So that's got to be your starting position. And to pretend that it's not is to deny the obvious. This is a president who didn't put his hand over his heart until he got a picture taken with his hand not over his heart during the Pledge of Allegiance. Now he wears a flag pin everywhere. This is a guy who, when he was confronting the charges of Reverend Wright, gave a speech that looked like it was in front of an American flag factory. He understands the value of wrapping himself in this flag and this honoring the military veterans, but I don't believe it, Scott. I don't. I don't think it is top priority. I don't think it's a mid-level priority. I think it's a bottom-level priority. And I'll close by saying this guy sure does seem to have a habit for being the leader of this country, the chief executive, of finding out things on the news. He's often the last guy to know what's happening in the organization that he's ostensibly the chief executive of. That's not the kind of person I would want running anything, and especially not this.
Well, Army helicopter pilot Tammy Duckworth lost both legs, shot down in her helicopter over Baghdad about 10 years ago. About the VA scandal and the CYA reaction, Democratic Congresswoman Tammy Duckworth said, quote, "I am pissed off about folks who would do this. I sort of feel like, damn it, your loyalty is the veteran. Your loyalty is not a hospital director or an undersecretary. Your loyalty is to a veteran." Well, that's right, soldier. That's right. For Steve Green, Bill Whittle, and the entire Trifecta crew at PJTV.com, I'm Scott Ott.